going to start with the AFC North, and it's the Baltimore Ravens to kick things off here today. As far as the composite goes, where were the Ravens? Number 8 on the composite PFF with an A- for Baltimore. Your thoughts on the Ravens draft, Sam?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. We gave it an A-. I think in particular the top half of their picks, which obviously the more important elements in terms of value, they're all pretty good, right? Nate Wiggins at 30. Cornerback generally, I think, was insane value in this draft. All the corners seem to go lower than everybody was expecting them to. Nate Wiggins has legitimate talent. He's got the ability to be CB1 from this draft class. Crazy coverage skills, crazy speed, can play man or zone. The concern is he's a little bit lightweight. I would say, because he's got this weird thing of he lost weight to run fast at the combine, then put it on next week. Let's split the difference and say he's around 180, and maybe the Ravens can pack on 5-10 more pounds. So 180 to 190 at 6'1", I think he measured at. So he's a little bit lightweight, but he's so good. So I think that's a steal at the bottom of the first. Roger Rosengarten, they tore down that offensive line. That's going to be part of rebuilding it. The other tackle from Washington, the right tackle, which remember, because of Michael Penix Jr., that's the blindside protector.
That's the blind side. Yeah, that matters a lot.
Right. Adisa Isaac in the third round, the other Penn State rusher. And then Tez Walker, and actually both are fourth-round picks. Tez Walker and TJ Tampa. Tez Walker, Drake Mays, wide receiver for the second half of last season. The big play threat, deep threat. And then TJ Tampa, your guy, because you saw him live in person.
Saw him live with an interception and a pass breakup. So love TJ Tampa. It's interesting that the Ravens got a few guys. TJ Tampa had been mocked in at least a couple first rounds, as did Roger Rosengarten. And I don't know that any of that necessarily matters, but they're getting guys that felt like good value at those points. I'm with you on Wiggins. I really like him as a player. Has incredible speed. The Ravens, didn't draft for need necessarily in round 1. Again, that's something that I generally applaud. I don't think there was an acute need necessarily at corner, depending on what they want to do with Marlon Humphrey in the coming years. But Brandon Stevens and Marlon Humphrey as a 1-2 punch on paper are solid. Wiggins adds to that mix and gives you an athletic complement to those guys. Rosengarten has a chance to step right in at right tackle and then move Patrick McCarry around, maybe to left guard. Gives them some flexibility on that offensive line. And then the guy Trevor Love, Adisa Isaac from Penn State. Trevor pushed him up all the way to 38 on the PFF draft board. Isaac probably higher on the PFF board than most, 64 on the consensus board, but just a high-energy player for me. Attacks in the run game, flies around the field. I think he's a solid player. I think he's your classic round 2 or 3 type of edge defender that definitely has some developing to do to become an impact player.
Yeah, definitely solid. Kind of iffy production. 13% pass rush win rate last year. That's not great. Didn't have a great array of moves, likes the sort of 2-hand swipe, rip. But he's a good athlete. He hustles. He's a good high motor guy. He's a pretty solid player. So I quite liked Isaac. Trev putting him above Chop Robinson is on the crazier end of the spectrum.
Call him out, man.
It's slightly crazy, but I
agree. I would take Chop over.
But it's great value in the third round. That's when.
Yeah. And then Tez Walker's the other interesting one. It's a deep wide receiver class. Walker has some size, some speed, deep playability. Had an uneven Senior Bowl where he was getting open, but then dropping passes. Those are the types of things with his skill set to add a vertical element to the Ravens offense. Every time a receiver is drafted, I say, okay, how do they fit in around everyone else? I think he has a chance to make some plays down the field with Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman on this team.
I think Tez Walker got overlooked in this draft process. I think he belonged in the kind of conversation with that top of the second round types of players. So in my rankings, he was around guys like Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Legette, Xavier Worthy. He's in that conversation to me. He's got the physical sort of frame, 6'1", 6'2", 190 plus pounds. He's so good at the catch point. He always makes the right call on whether to go get the ball, whether to let it drop into his hands. And I think he really got dinged for that Senior Bowl week. The last thing everybody saw with him is him dropping everything all week at practice. But that wasn't representative of his tape. He had 2 drops last year, I think. This was not somebody that was regularly dropping the football. He just had a mare of a week at the Senior Bowl and just just caught the dropsies. So I honestly thought at the time that's going to mean people overlook this guy. Like, it's going to stick in their minds, this guy couldn't catch a cold at the Senior Bowl, and he's going to fall in the draft. I think he's a steal. Like, he's got legit speed. He's good at the catch point, and he can catch the ball, even though the Senior Bowl would belie that.
Do you think it's fair? A lot of times in the draft, it's you hear people do this. Why would you take so and so in the first round when you can get someone else round 3, 4? Is he a proxy to say Brian Thomas Jr. as a size, speed, vertical component? Because I have a lot of similar notes. I don't trust Tez maybe as the high volume underneath, running, slants, ins, outs, that type of thing. But vertical route tree, your post, your corners, your go ball. I think Tez can do some damage.
Absolutely. I mean, if he was taken at pick number 113 overall. I will absolutely take that versus Brian Thomas Jr. at pick number 23 overall. And I believe that's a far better allocation of value versus the player you're going to get.
So another good draft, looks like, by the Ravens. I want to give a shout out to Marshall running back Rasheen Ali.
Yeah.
One of my favorite day 3 backs because he's fast. Because he's game speed fast.
He's got some really fun tape.
Yeah, and when you add that to what the Ravens have, Derrick Henry, Keaton Mitchell, who looked great before he got hurt last year as your jitterbug, change of pace type of guy, and now Rasheen Ali as your straight speed type of guy. They've got a nice little mix. And look, the last thing we saw from the Ravens was not great in the AFC Championship. But throughout the season, the way I described the Ravens offense was always they have a changeup, they have a fastball, they have all the pitches, right? They have all the different body types and styles that are difficult to defend. And I think they added to that with size speed in Tez Walker, with the speed of Rasheen Ali at running back. It doesn't look like one of the best offenses on paper necessarily, but the different types of bodies, don't forget they have Derrick Henry as the big battering ram, and it all starts with Lamar Jackson and his ability to run the ball and throw it, of course. But the Ravens are going to be even more difficult to defend, I think, if they start getting these rookies and, of course, Derrick Henry into the mix.
Do you have a strong take on the long snapper that they've signed as an undrafted free agent?
Is that no, I don't. Should I?
Randon Plattner from Kansas State. I was just curious.
Why didn't you look up some stats?
Well, I was going straight to PFF IQ, which I hear is an industry-leading.
Not for long snappers.
That's what I was very curious. I was interested. What stable or unstable metrics has Steve Palazzolo, special teams guru, identified as key for long snapping?
Those who work with, we have a service team that works with the NFL teams, right? So and all of our college teams, and I work very closely with our service team when teams have needs. As the head of product on football, I make sure that those get into the pipeline so that we can build them. And our service team knows my disdain for special teams.
Yeah.
So as the builder of PFF IQ, I made sure that there was no special team information in there.
I see that.
There's nothing.
Yeah. Very
no,
clearly.
So you don't have a stable, unstable page for the long.
Well, so I clicked onto the stable, unstable page, and that thing, the spinning little thing where it's loading. That's basically what it does. The chip never loads.
Yeah, I should get a little error statement that says you've clicked on a special teamer. Please go somewhere else. Please go watch other football players.
This is not the page for you.
Yeah. Steve said no. I mean, the next person who takes over IQ, if you want to put in special team stuff, go for it. Not on my watch.
Not on Steve's watch.
Not on mine. Look, we were on the show a couple years ago warning the Washington football team, I believe at the time, that the long snapper that they drafted was a little inaccurate.
Yeah, Cheeseman.
Yeah.
The cheese, who's no longer there, right? We were right.
Just saying. We warned you.
There's a report here. Let's find out. What did I say his name was? Plattner.
I don't know. Why are we doing this?
Why
now
not?
We're going to get to 2 hours.
Well, you get the long snapper data. Nobody else out there with this. Nobody. 73.8 PFF grade last year for snaps. We got 3 bad punting snaps.
That's solid.
0 bad field goal
That's
snaps.
pretty good. That's pretty good.
So
Where'd that rank in the nation?
They did well. Ooh, now you're asking. Now I got.
Oh, you just went right to his.
Yeah,
page.
now you got to unclick his name. So 73.8 grade ranks.
20th probably.
Loading.
Oh, you're going to load the entire NCAA?
I did, but here we go. It's top 20-ish.
Nice. That's good.
What you really wanted was the Virginia guy. He appears to be pretty legit.
he
Now, I don't
draft
know if he
eligible?
was drafted. But
We don't know if he's draft eligible.
No.
But put him on the watch list.
Virginia and Delaware and Furman were the players you wanted from when it comes to snapping the ball.
Put them on the early
The
mocks.
watch list.
Yeah, early watch.
In fact, all of these guys almost to a man at the top of this list are from colleges you've rarely heard of. Maybe they're signaling that.